Hello students, I welcome you all to this video lecture on capital gains. What is a capital gain? Simply put, any profit or gain that arises from a sale of a capital asset is a capital gain. We have discussed this also in the class. I am just repeating these few terms so that you could get familiar with it once again. This gain or profit comes under the category income, and hence you will need to pay tax for that amount in the year in which the transfer of the capital asset takes place. This is called capital gains tax, which can be short term or long term. The short term or long term of capital gains depends on the number of years or the period for which you have held the asset. We will get to know about it in the later stages. Capital gains are not applicable to an inherited property as there is no sale, only a transfer of ownership. What this means is, if the house or any other capital asset has been received by the son from his father, there is no sale. He has inherited that property. So at that point of time of inheritation will not be computing any capital gains. The income tax has specifically exempted assets received as gifts by way of inheritance or will. However, if the person who inherited the asset decides to sell it, capital gains tax will be applicable. That is, as I told you, son receives the house as inherited property from his father. What he does is, after a few years, he sells that property. So when he actually sells that property or sells that property, at that point of time capital gains tax will be applicable and not at the point of time where he inherited that property. So which are the assets which are defined as capital assets? I have given only a few examples here: land, building, house property, vehicles, patents, trademarks, leasehold rights, machinery and jewelry are a few examples of capital rights. This includes having rights in or in relation to an Indian company. It also includes rights of management or control or any other legal right. Please remember this: furniture used for household purpose or agricultural land. These are the two types of primary assets which will be dealing in illustrations, which is not considered as capital asset. So if an asset is not considered as a capital asset, naturally whatever gains will be arising from the sale of that particular asset, we will not be able to term that as capital gain, and hence long term capital gain versus short term capital gain. So immovable property, for an example for immovable property is house property. So what is short term here? When will we term the household property sold as short term capital asset? If the holding period of the asset, that is property, immovable property like house, if it is held for less than 2 years, it will be short term, and if it is held for more than 2 years, it will be long term. Short term income tax slab rate, that is, it depends on your tax slab that you are in. If the gain arising from sale of this immovable property is a long term capital gain, then we will have to go for 20%. Directly we will apply special rate here, that is 20% on this particular long term capital gain with indexation. We have discussed this, but I will repeat this indexation thing once again later. Movable property, example gold, jewelry. So if you are holding gold or jewelry, or if you are selling it within 3 years, it will become a short term capital asset. If it is sold after 3 years, it will become a long term capital asset. Once again, for short term capital asset, it will be a tax slab rate. Long term capital asset, it will be 20% with indexation. Listed shares, please give importance to the star mark given here. The explanation of that is given at the end. So listed shares, we have discussed this. 12 months or 1 year, if you are selling the shares within 1 year, short term capital gain. If you are selling it for after one year, long term capital gain. Short term capital gain attracts a special rate of tax at 15%. This is for listed shares. And long-term capital gain, that is if you sell it after 1 year, it is exempt only if the long-term capital gain is up to 1 lakh. Whatever is in excess of 1 lakh, it will be taxed at 10%. So please remember this. Exempt does not mean the whole income is exempt. Up to 1 lakh is exempt. Excess of 1 lakh, over and above 1 lakh. That is, if the income is, let us say, long-term capital gain from sale of listed shares is 1,10,000. In that case, we will deduct 1 lakh. The 10,000 that is there over and above 1 lakh will be taxed at 10%. Equity oriented mutual funds, once again this is the same thing. You have to, if you hold it for less than 1 year, it will be a short term capital gain. If you hold it for more than 1 year, it will be a long term capital gain. 15% tax, same as listed shares, exempt. Once again the same process will apply. Up to 1 lakh you need not pay any tax. Excess of 1 lakh you will have to pay 10% tax. Debt oriented mutual funds, if you invest in companies or mutual funds which deal with debt market segments, you have to hold it for less than, if you hold it for less than 3 years, it will be a short term capital gain. If you hold it for more than 3 years and then sell it, it will be a long term capital gain. If the income is a short term capital gain, income tax slab rate will be applicable. If it is a long term capital gain, you will have to tax that long term capital gain at 20% with indexation. There are many more aspects to long term capital gain and short term capital gain, various assets to be discussed. For us, with regards to the syllabus that is given, this is more than enough. Once again I will read this just to make you acquainted with this. This is with regards to listed shares and equity oriented mutual funds. As per section 112A, long term capital gains arising from a transfer of an equity share or a unit of an equity oriented fund or a unit of a business trust shall be taxed at 10% without indexation. This is very important here. You will not be able to, though for other cases you will be able to go for indexation. With regards to listed shares, equity oriented mutual funds and business trust, you will not be able to apply for indexation of such capital gain, that is flat rate of 10% on the gains. The tax on capital gains shall be levied in excess of rupees 1 lakh. So up to 1 lakh rupees, if you are earning long term capital gain, there is no tax. Only in excess of 1 lakh you will have to pay 10% tax. So how do we compute short term capital gain? You take the sale consideration first, then sale consideration, or it is also known as full value of consideration. Then you deduct cost of acquisition, COA, cost of improvement, COI. You also deduct expenses incidental to transfer, for example brokerage, commission and all. Once you deduct all the three, whatever is remaining is known as short term capital gain. This is where we understand how to compute long term capital gain. Once again you start the same way, full value of consideration, take the amount. Next you have to deduct expenses incidental to transfer, whatever expenses are there. This is done to get the net sale consideration. There is one area or one section which is 54F where we will be needing this particular amount. That is why it is shown this way. Full value of consideration is taken, expenses incidental to transfer will be deducted, you will get net sale consideration. After that you go for index the cost of acquisition, deduct it, go for index the cost of improvements if there are any, deduct it, you will get long term capital gain. So there are various other things to be kept in mind. For indexation, what do we need? We need year of acquisition or improvement, that is when have you bought that asset or when have the improvements on that assets been done. When is the transfer, when have you transferred. Then cost in inflation index, CII, for the year of the acquisition and also for the year of the transfer, whenever you have acquired that asset and whenever you have transferred that asset. Those are the things that you require. Next, what is the formula? So index the cost of acquisition. How do we find out? Take the cost of acquisition. So purchase rate, construction amount, whatever is given in the illustration, take that amount, multiply that by CII for the year of transfer of capital asset. For us, in every problem it will be previous year. For us, assessment year is 2019-20. So previous year will be 2018-19. So here CII for year of transfer of capital asset will be CII of 2018-19 and CII in the year of acquisition. Whenever the assets have been purchased, that will be taken here. That is, cost inflation index of that year will be taken. So once you multiply and divide, you will get the answer. That is the index the cost of acquisition. You have to do the same for cost of improvement also. So in case of, instead of cost of acquisition, you take cost of improvements, multiply CII of the year of transfer and then divide by CII of year of improvement whenever you have made the improvements. There are various exemptions that are available under while computing capital gains, but we will restrict to a few of them for the purpose of solving the illustrations. So exemption under section 54. When can we claim exemption under section 54? When, if you have sold a house and the income from that house must have been taxable under 22. What is under section 22? Which head of income is this? Yes, you are right, it is income from house property. So when you sell a residential property and that prior to selling that residential property, whatever income was arising from that house, it should have been taxable under section 22. So let's jump on to section 54. Long-term capital gain arising. Please remember, short-term capital gain, while computing short-term capital gain, if you have sold the house within 2 years, in that case you will not be able to claim any exemption. Exemptions are available only when there is a long-term capital gain. I hope that is very clear by now. So let's move on. Long-term capital gain arising on sale of residential property shall be exempted to the extent of capital, if any, arise is invested in. That is, whatever amount of long-term capital gain you have received, if you invest the full amount in another house, that will be fully, you can claim full deduction. Or let us say there is a long-term capital gain of 10 lakh rupees, you purchase a new house for 8 lakh rupees. In that case, you can claim exemption up to 8 lakh and the remaining 2 lakh will be taxable long-term capital gain. You will have to pay tax on that particular amount. So when can you purchase? Is it that you get 10 lakh in 2018 and you'll buy in 2028? No, there is no indefinite period for buying. There is a definite period and we have to know what it is. If you are purchasing the house, let us say by selling a residential property, you are purchasing another house in that place instead of that house. So what will happen is, let's say you are purchasing the house, that is, you are selling your residential property, you are getting the capital gain, and that capital gain you are investing in a residential property by purchasing the house. So the key word is purchase here. That can be done within 1 year before. That is, let us say if you are planning to sell in 2018, you can buy the house in 2017 and yet you can claim deduction. That is 1 year before or 2 years after the transfer of property. That is, let us say you sell in June 2018. So if you are purchasing the house, this criteria, 2-year criteria will help you, will give you a time till 2020. That is, up to June 2020, you can select the house, and by 2020, you should purchase the house to claim exemption. Otherwise, if you are not able to successfully purchase the house before this 2-year window, all the long-term capital gain, even the amount that you have claimed as exemption, will become taxable. In case of construction, purchase 1 year before or 2 years after. When there is construction of property, then you can claim, you will have the window up to 3 years, that is from 2018 till 2021. There is a time of 3 years. If LTCG is not utilized, then such unutilized amount must be deposited under capital gain account scheme before the due date of filing returns. That is, let us say you have sold in the previous year, 2018-19 you have sold, 2019-20 is the assessment year. So by July 31st, you should make use of that amount. But in many cases, let us say while you are constructing the house or while you are purchasing the house, you will not be able to do everything within July 31st. So what you should do, let's say out of 10 lakh capital gains, you have been able to spend 2 lakh rupees on the new residential property on various things. 8 lakh rupees construction is going on, 8 lakh rupees is still to be spent. What you have to do is, before July 31st, deposit all that 8 lakh in capital gain account scheme, and within 3 years, that is from the date of sale, within 3 years you'll have to use all the amount that is deposited in this capital gain account scheme. The new house should not be sold for a period of at least 3 years from the date of purchase or construction. So what does this mean? Very simple. As given in the previous example, let's say you construct a house in 2021. So if you don't want the previous capital gains which are exempted to be taxed once again, what you have to do is you have to hold this house, whatever you have constructed in 2021, at least up to 2024. After that you can sell that house, but up to 2024 you will not be able to sell. Purchase case was 2020, so up to 2023, at least up to 2023 you have to hold the house and then sell it if you are planning to sell it. If the new house is sold within 3 years, I have already explained this, but let's once again understand this in detail. If the new house is sold within 3 years, then the previously exempt capital gains will be taxable as short-term capital gain. This in problem, while solving the problem, we'll understand this in detail. Now the next exemption under section 54B. The capital gain arising from sale of agricultural land situated in urban areas is exempt if, please remember, this is the agricultural land situated in urban areas. At the beginning of this particular video lecture, I have clearly mentioned agricultural land in rural areas is not considered as a capital asset. So there does not arise any question of having a long-term capital gain or a short-term capital gain. Only if the agricultural land is situated in urban area can you have capital gain. So the land should have been used for agricultural purpose. The capital gain arising from sale of agricultural land is fully invested in buying another agricultural land within 2 years. Please remember this. You have to purchase a new land within 2 years. That is another agricultural land in urban area within 2 years from the date of transfer. The unutilized amount, if you are not able to buy the land within the due date of filing returns, that amount has to be deposited under CGAS, that is capital gain account scheme. Then the new land should be held for more than 3 years. Please remember that. Next, 54EC, capital gain arises on sale of any long-term capital asset. If you remember, exemption 54 is available only when you sell a residential property and you buy another residential property. When will you be able to claim exemption under section 54B? Yes, when you sell an agricultural land in urban area and you purchase another agricultural land. So in this 54EC, you can sell any long-term capital asset. I have given you many examples at the beginning of this video lecture, so you can go back and look at it if you want once again, or there are n number of examples in the resources that are there with you. Long-term capital asset are exempt subject to if SSA has invested capital gain within 6 months from the date of transfer in any long-term capital bond as specified by the government for prescribed period. The usual prescription is for 3 years, that is long-term bonds and those bonds should be specified by the government. In this case, let us say you have sold a house, you don't want to buy another house. So if you don't buy another house, you will not be able to claim exemption under 54. So will you pay tax on that long term capital gain? Obviously no, you want to reduce your tax outgo. So what you do, you rather than buying a new house, because you don't want to do that, you invest that long term capital gain whatever has arose from selling that residential property in long term bonds which are specified by the government. Please give importance to this. It should be invested within 6 months from the date of transfer. Please remember that. Maximum exemption is 50 lakhs. So over and above 50 lakhs, if long term capital gain is there, you will not be able to claim any exemption. Up to 50 lakh rupees capital gain invested, you can claim exemption. The specified asset should not be sold within 3 years from the date of purchase. This I have made very clear earlier also. The last exemption that we will discuss in this particular video lecture, exemption under section 54F. Any capital gain arising on sale of long term capital gain other than residential property shall be exempted, subject to if entire proceeds is invested in. So once again I will read it. Any capital gain arising on sale of any long term capital asset other than residential property. This is not long term capital gain, it is long term capital asset. It should not be residential property. You can sell gold, you can sell jewelry, you can sell car, or you can sell agricultural land or anything. But the selling capital asset should not be a residential property. In that case, you can claim exemption under section 54. But what you have to do? We have understood that you cannot sell residential property. The simple reason is, if you sell residential property and buy one another residential property, you can claim under section 54. There does not arise a question of exemption under 54F. So, except for residential property, if you sell any other long term capital asset, what you have to do is, to get this exemption, you have to purchase another residential property within 1 year before or 2 years after the transfer of property. This 1 year before is whatever that, let us say you have sold on 1st July 2018. So you could have purchased before itself, that is, let us say 15th August 2017 you have purchased a residential house. In that case you can claim exemption under section 54F. Or if you are going for construction of house property, in that case you will get 3 years from the transfer date of transfer, right? So if whole consideration is not invested, what does this mean? So we have to understand this in bits and pieces. First, what we have to understand, you can sell any asset except residential property if you want to claim exemption under section 54F. Selling should be any long term capital asset except residential property. And what can you purchase? You have to purchase only residential property, or you can construct only residential property. Let us say you sell a jewelry, and if you buy jewelry in that place, that you cannot claim under 54F. You sell jewelry and you purchase a residential property or construct a residential property. That should be the case. Purchase or construction is limited to residential property. Selling is limited to any asset except residential property. So please understand that. If the whole consideration, give importance to this. Please remember, until now, capital gains, they had mentioned that capital gains needs to be reinvested in some or the other form. But here importance is given to the word consideration. It is not invested. Then capital gain into amount invested divided by net consideration. That is, whatever is the capital gain that you have got, you have to multiply that by whatever investments that you have made divided by net consideration. What is this net consideration? Full value of consideration. Let us say you have sold an asset for 20 lakh rupees and there is 50,000 rupees expenses incidental to transfer. You have paid brokerage or commission of 50,000. So net consideration will be 20 lakh minus 50,000, 19 lakh 50,000. So capital gains will be there. You'll deduct all the indexed cost of acquisition, in indexed cost of improvement, you will get capital gain. You will also know the amount that you have invested to purchase or construct the property. So that amount will be written here. Capital gain will be multiplied by invested amount and then it will be divided by net consideration. How will you get net consideration? Very simple. Whatever is the full value of consideration, deduct the expenses incidental to transfer from that, you will get net consideration. So the SSE owns only one residential house on the date of transfer. On the date on which you are selling any other capital asset, there should be only one asset, one residential house with you. The SSE does not purchase or construct a new house within 2 years from the date of transfer. The new house is not transferred within 3 years from the date of purchase. Whatever new house you have invested to claim 54F, you should not sell that house within 3 years from the date of purchase or construction. The unutilized amount, that is before filing the due dates, before the due date of filing returns, if you have not used that amount or invested that amount already, all that amount should be deposited in capital gain account scheme. So I've taken a lot of screenshot required from these two sources, cleartax.in and taxguru.in. Thank you.